playing it. So now it's like I have a network to play with, and I found a website online that you can play with people. It matches you up in games and stuff. And
sounds cool. All right, well, we got everything rolling here. Everything's
right now.
Recording now and live on, and also live on Facebook on our page over there. So Nick said he may get a chance to join us. He is also off today, but he is currently either at lunch or having lunch right now. So I'll just try to keep an eye on the participants or where it says he might hop in. So if he does, cool. If not, it'll be all right as well. I don't know, I figure it might be just a fairly quick show, but figured we'd take advantage of, if we could, getting a little recording in. And, before we head back to school tomorrow, I'll be back as well. Finally out of quarantine. Everything turned out negative on our end, but, still wrote it out. But as it turned out, I can't remember if today or tomorrow would have been my return date anyway, even if we had school. So I think it worked out having the holiday off. So to not have to worry about rushing things. So if you can believe it or not, we're coming to the end of our middle school season, man. Like, it's been quick, it's been slow, has been what it has been. But I guess at the end of the day though, like, I guess we should be happy we had a season,
Yeah. It's been a different season.
More than what we may have thought at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. So we lost one tournament. We lost a couple matches, I think. I lost a couple matches, let me say that. Yeah, so it's been one of those things, like, to me it feels like we've only wrestled like 3 times.
Well, quite literally, yeah. We had our scrimmage, we had 2 duels, 1 duel was canceled, and we missed the conference tournament. So yeah, we did miss. So far, we missed 2 things. We had a very limited schedule to begin with. Like our full schedule, normally we have 12 dates to use. We normally utilize 11 to 12 of those dates, depending on the year. Some years we get 11 dates in with the opportunity to like pick up a match, or if something happens. Sometimes scheduling, the way it just works out, we only get 11. More times than not, we do get our full 12 dates, on in there without anything being canceled on snow and other things like that. So, like we talked about at the beginning of the year, all summer, would we see season, how season going to look? Season honestly hasn't looked too terribly different, I guess, which can be considered a good thing. But like we said, at least I guess we had a season. So, and we'll look at finishing that middle school season off. The big talk around here right now amongst the email threads and such are the high school coaches and what the high school league is wanting to do or trying to figure out for the high school state tournament.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to even attempt that.
So I didn't know what all your brother had heard or know, since he seems to, I don't know how he follows all the high school league stuff.
I don't know. I think he knows someone on the board, and like they talk a lot.
Okay, because it seems like he gets like a lot of insight on things, which doesn't seem to be far off. But at the same time, like
sometimes the stuff he says is far off, though.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying he's not far off on a lot of things. I'm just saying, but he does seem to kind of like post very quickly. And like, how did you find out about some of this stuff? Because you're not like a coach in a system or anything. But it sounds like if he knows somebody that he talks to frequently, then that kind of makes sense.
We've had a little back and forth. He's convinced that, because I know they said that they were moving the meeting to determine about like virtual learning and all that. They moved it to the 20th, and he thinks that they're something like that. I don't know. He thinks that they're seriously considering it, and I'm like, I don't think they are. They may say they may meet on it, but I think it's one of those things. It's like, we're going to meet. We know what we're going to decide, but we're going to meet anyway. It's one of those.
Because you kind of get that little insider track just from us talking about wrestling and talking about different things. And like, thought if we were going to be any sort of virtual, we would have already done it. But,
I feel like they would have gone into emergency mode this past couple weeks, with how everything's been. The numbers have been like crazy.
One day, I wouldn't have been on quarantine this last week if we had simply chose, and I'm not saying whether people want to say whatever, I'm not saying we shouldn't be in school, but I just thought it was a logical thought to, after that long holiday where everybody still traveled and did things, for us to, hey, let's let everybody who traveled and did things simmer that down, keep whatever they possibly might have or might not
Yeah.
have from spreading a little bit. And I know you can forever say, well, we need to extend it more and more and more. I'm just saying, hey, that one just made sense because we just had that long break. Do a week to 2 weeks there just to kind of let things simmer out, let anybody who might possibly show symptoms, and, you know, be able to chill at home and do your virtual learning there. And then if the district wants to be all in, which we are, then let's hit that all in full force after everybody's had like kind of a little mini quarantine practice period. Because, you know, from what we saw, I went out, I got constant emails, everybody, you know, like high numbers of people going out every, you know, it's like, kind of said the reason why, but is what it is. We're back at it now.
Yeah.
We're at the end of what would be that 2 weeks. So hopefully we didn't extend this spread out, you know, at least in our district is my thought, like any more so than we already have. And hopefully we're not running down this spiral of people constantly going out. Now, I know they held off on the board meeting, ironically enough, because they could not meet in face-to-face after the break to have their thing because of, I think,
Ultimate irony.
Yeah, it just, you kind of got to laugh, okay? Whichever way you feel about it, just kind of got to laugh at it some and kind of go at it from there.
We can't meet face to face. That they got a COVID thing going on. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so everybody's good to go to school. So, but the plus side with that, though, as long as we are in school, that means our sports are still going on. So we're still doing well there and going with it. Last thing I heard with the high school stuff with things is they're not going to do the Civic Center this year, which I think everybody hates that venue anyway. Just because I don't like the venue because they put all classes in one spot, and the venue's not honestly big enough to house all the spectators that you would want to have be able to get in there and go watch. Because I've gone and watched it as a spectator versus a coach, and it's kind of horrendous unless you were there all day long and got there early and were lucky enough to get a seat somewhere. It's kind of like standing room. It's just not well set up for the spectator part of it. Is it easy in and out for the athletes and things like that? Yeah. But, you know, if you're going to have a spot where you want everybody to watch, then you want to have a better venue, in my opinion. So I think there was talk about splitting. It's not going to be in Anderson. I do know that much. There was talks about splitting up the classes, kind of like how they did a couple years ago, like, you know, 5A, 4A, 3A, doing that. I think they chose against that because they wanted to still put everybody in one spot. And then I do believe the plan is to stream it all. Like, I don't know if they're going to have spectators. But if their justification was like, if we can put it all in one spot, we can maintain the quality of the stream and have a good stream for everybody. I was like, okay. The big thing right now is and I don't know how they're going to do it, the number of people allowed to make it to the state tournament. Because in the past, you know, we had region, and depending on the year, region might have been a qualifier for upper state. And then obviously, you know, I think it might have been top 6 or top 8 from your region, qualified for upper state. Upper state, the who qualifies guys from state from there? It's the placers, right? In this top 3.
It's the
it's not 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's is it top 4? I thought it's top 4 for us, and I thought at the high school and all that they cut it down slightly. I could be wrong.
I know because you have it's top 4 because it's top 4. So because like I think it turns into an 8-man bracket for each weight from upper state and lower state. Each bring 4, so it's an 8-man bracket.
Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking they just did top 2.
And from upper state, where wrestles off the 4th placer from lower state.
Yeah,
vice versa.
Now I will tell you where
they're talking about doing a 4-man bracket, maybe a 6-man bracket. They've contemplated whether it's going to be single elimination. Now this is high school league, not necessarily, you know, the coach said Coaches Association obviously wants, hey man, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. Let's go ahead and do the 8-man bracket, no spectators, stream every last match for the parents, and give these kids an opportunity. We've made it this far and done this much. That's obviously, I think, what the Coaches Association wants, as close as they can. The compromise might be somewhere in the middle, I've heard, possibly like a 6-man bracket, first round, single elimination, and then second round on, wrestle back so you do at least get your third place finisher. But I don't know. It's that's one that's going to be. I was curious as to what you thought like about this, because I know unless you talked to D on the side, I was pretty sure you hadn't heard any of that yet. But I was just going to throw you on the spot and say, what do you think?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I ideally, as much as I feel like it would be easy if you were to. You could still do like an 8-man bracket, maybe, depending on how you got those, how you came up with the people from that bracket and all that. I mean, you could do like qualifiers and whatnot. But if you just did like a 4-man bracket or a 6-man bracket, I feel like you could probably cut down on you could be more safe, because then it's like you're only having to worry about a small number of people like on your team.
Yeah.
So you can be like, we just need this amount of people here to practice with them. I mean, it sucks because then you're telling everyone else like, hey, we don't need you the rest of the season, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's no fun, but at the same time, it's like, given the circumstances, sacrifices have to be made.
Yeah.
So if you cut down on the number, then you could possibly have, you could have like basically like a small bubble of people that you have to watch out for and be like, okay, guys, look, I need y'all to be extra careful. He's going to state this week. I know it's not fun for y'all. It's not really fair that
I didn't even think about that. Like, I wonder if there's the possibility, like, say they only pick a 6-man bracket and each one takes 3. Does like the 4th place finisher who's out now become the first alternate? Say, because you don't want to like have buys, but say somebody goes out with something, you're not going to reschedule a state, but like, I wonder if they'll consider something like the first alternate if they chose that route. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. And I will say one thing, once everything hopefully goes back to normal, ideally, you were talking about not liking that Civic Center. I used to like the idea of the Civic Center, but I'll tell you what I wish they would do is kind of like a place like Bon Secours Wellness Arena.
Yeah.
Because even though you still have all the mats in one area, it kind of gives that big deal vibe, kind of like NCAA's almost. You have places like you can have like small locker rooms for the wrestlers or something.
My favorite
I was just gonna say, and then you could do like, you have so much room for spectators, like in the galley or whatever they call it, the where the concessions and all that are. You can go outside. I mean, there's a little bit more room. I mean, you're still going to be confined to one spot, but at the same time, like, I feel like if you roll out about 6 mats or so there, then it's not an issue.
Yeah, my favorite was, I don't know if you ever remember when it was in Columbia. It's the middle of the state, kind of makes sense. Anderson's kind of like up here in the upper part of the state. Makes it an easy drive for us, but I mean, daggum, you get the Myrtle Beach area people, they're having to travel, I don't know how far to get there. But
and then you got rushes. I mean,
have rushes. We need to get back down to Columbia, and I liked it when they had it in the basketball, the college basketball arena, and I think that arena is also where they had the hockey stuff and everything else. And what was cool about that was that lower level section. They had all the mats out, and the absolute only people on that lower level section were the coaches and the athletes that had the bands, the appropriate bands, to be down there. There was absolutely zero parents, friends, family of anything like right next on the mat. So it kept all the athletes and all the coaches on the lower level, and then all that seating all around on the upper level or the next tier up, was really cool. Plus it was kind of a big venue. It's the middle of the state, I think when you have a spot like that that's centrally located, I know it's not Clemson, but Carolina is like the middle of the state college, so like you do get people on a campus. So it's a little, even though that campus is in the middle of downtown, but it still does have an area where there are opportunities to walk around and go do things outside of it too. Like, if you're off and you don't wrestle until the finals, like you can, go walk around a little bit, calm your head, go back to your hotel, go grab a bite to eat, and everything's kind of like in a walking distance too. Versus Anderson is kind of the Civic Center is kind of like out there just a little bit,
Yeah, it is. It's definitely, because for us, a drive to Anderson isn't but maybe
hour and a half.
I wouldn't even say that long. I mean, it's roughly like hour and a half, maybe an hour and a half, depending. But I mean, there it's easy for us, but then you get people from like Myrtle Beach, Columbia, Charleston, and all that. That's a stroke for them. That's at least 3 hours. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's definitely something that I feel like they need to change a location. Mm-hmm. It would be great to have some sort of like arena, I guess, to give it that big, like that big feel. Or they can do it, like you said, the basketball arena. It's just, I wish they would do it to where it feels like it's a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but I'm saying
for you go into a place like a venue where it is an already, like the basketball center, that's the hockey rink, that's how it's already that big time sports stuff. And there's a lot of things that go on there. You kind of like, you walk in and you're like, all right, cool. This is a sports venue that is meant for big time events, not just a civic center that's used for whoever can pay for it, Yeah.
Like, and so, I mean, then you get little kids going there. They probably look at it and they're like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. That gives them something to work for. You have parents who just like kind of enjoy it possibly a little bit more because it's, it looks more up there. You could even try to talk to someone to maybe like record it somehow, like do cameras and stuff.
Oh yeah, I think that's gonna be a big thing this year, and I think something that hopefully we see continue as we move forward, whether it's COVID or not, is the amount of streaming that we have going on with things. So I think that's pretty cool. So obviously that's going to be a big deal for it, and hopefully we continue to see that happen, not just this year but throughout. Yeah.
No, and I mean, I love it. Now, with that said, it would be really cool to be able to like stream these things and have like an announce team, kind of like football does, I guess you could say, where you have someone like commentating, and that would be really cool. I think. I mean, I would volunteer any match that we're not already doing. Like, if we're not having a coach, go ahead and sign me up.
It makes a big difference when you're streaming something and like. Versus just like say the high school league setting up a stream where you can watch, but a stream where somebody's actually saying, all right, hey, and that was a takedown, they're off to the side, the ref's talking to so-and-so. And, like just that commentary helps when watching, especially say you plug in late and you don't know who's winning, and you get that commentary of like,
no, see, I would
choose down and they are down by 3 in this third period, there's the escape, the lead is cut to 2, like, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, I would love to see how all that works and and what all goes into that, because, like I said, any match that I'm not coaching already, I would completely volunteer to do it. I mean, if I have to travel to Rock Hill, Fort Mill, or something in the middle of the day, I would totally do that. I mean, you don't even have to pay me that much. You can pay me in food. I don't care.
Hey, get our press passes. We're ready to roll.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then like when state comes around, and hopefully we would have guys there, but I'm saying like if we don't, well, if it's at the high school level, we're coaching middle school. I mean, that could be one thing that we just kind of take on the chin, I guess, and be like, look, we have guys here, but we can just commentate one of these.
Yeah, I mean, we missed out on our press passes for Cliff Clean, Midlands, and Southern Scuffle this year, so it only makes sense. We should have those and roll them all out. But
I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think you should bring it up to the coaches association, the high school association for South Carolina.
Hey, we already got your local guys. We're ready to go ahead and commentate for you. So, but there was wrestling going on up through yesterday. We had what is today? Today is Monday, so we had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had wrestling. I found it funny because you asked a question at the end of our last episode, and you were like, "Well, who do you want to see wrestle right now?" And I was like, Kyle Snyder. I was like, Thomas Gilman, and I don't know who else and I was like, Helen Maroulis, Sarah Hoffman. And I was like, kind of, I don't know if you knew it was all coming, but we were like, hey, wait a minute. Kind of lobbed the softball on out there, and it was an easy home run. Not to say that I can hit a softball from like an actual softball game, because that's not very easy. But just saying, like, it was kind of cool because Friday was the women's team, and our women's team rocked it out with 4 golds, 2 silvers, and something. I can't remember if we got a bronze there or not. But man, I tell you what, our women's team is rocking right now.
Oh yes.
Now, have we reached the point where our women's team can compete with Japan's women's team? I don't know, because I mean, Japan's women's wrestling is apparently like the powerhouse, kind of like how Russia is thought of, or Iran have been thought of as like powerhouses for men's freestyle. I mean,
yeah, and I'll be honest, that's kind of weird because you don't really think of Japan as a wrestling country, you know?
I know, but they're women dominant.
Yeah.
Like they.
Oh no, they're really good.
I mean, I'm hoping we're catching up to them on that level. I mean, but man, we've got some women on our team who can flat out scrap, and they are exciting and fun to watch. And I'm glad that like Flo was getting some women's matches on with the different things. And again, they've been doing it from senior level on down, which is kind of cool. But walking away with 4 golds, for the women's team, and I think one of those matches was gold and silver, and so US versus US. So that was kind of cool. But
so it's one of those things that we have a ton of talent as far as the my phone keeps buzzing and it's freaking me out. But no, it's we have a lot of talent with our women's team right now. But I do think, like you said, I think Japan as of right now at least is on a slightly different level. Not saying that we're not one of the best in the world right now in women's wrestling, but I think there's still a few things that a few areas we need to improve on overall until we can make that claim that we are elite. We are elite, but that we're on equal ground as them. But I mean, we're not far off.
No,
I definitely don't think we're far off.
They're ready to compete with them, and
I mean, because you got studs. Oh, I don't want to call them studs, but you got killers at like. Because I mean, they're not. Yeah. Anyway, you got killers at every weight. Let's just say that.
No, I mean, our women's team is rocking it out, and they're solid as can be. So
yeah,
it was cool.
And I mean, and then you got. I mean, just the amount of names you have that are just ready to go out there and scrap and who can wrestle amazing. It's just we're definitely. And I give it a few more years, and then we're definitely neck and neck with Japan. I think, as far as like, who do you think wins?
Continue on the trajectory, and like the young women coming up, and I do think it's going to be awesome. Also, speaking of like young coming up, I think it's a perfect segue into the men's side. Man, I was watching, and I tell you what, like Vito from Cornell, Arujev, or however you say his name, he has competed on virtually almost any and everything that he can compete at, from whatever the Spartan RTC that they have that's for Cornell, to any of these flow cards, to whichever. And then this tournament, I believe did he take bronze, or did he lose that Ripshots match? I can't remember. But dadgum, like, he was a name that I kind of heard some last year before everything went down. Like, they're like good scrappy guy, but like, man, if he doesn't make it, I'm sure he'll All-American, but if he isn't in the finals or something, like, dude is almost ready just to jump straight freestyle. Like, he is fun to watch. I mean, there are points scored left and right. He is just a fun one to watch wrestling. I'm almost to the point of like, at first I was like, all right, I was watching him wrestling, and I was like, okay, this is against international. I'm like, I'm not picking against him domestically. And then I continued to watch, and then there's Siriano in the finals of the weight, and Siriano was dominating through. And I think
that's who I was going to bring up next, actually. I was going to what about Siriano?
Yep, that's the one I was going to ask you about. Like, I enjoy watching him wrestle, but like, did you expect for him watching his stylistic form of wrestling collegiately, did you expect him to have the success that he's having internationally?
Yeah. Well, yeah and no. I thought it may take a couple years maybe for
Okay, so
him
that's the next question then is like, did you expect the amount of success that he's having as quickly as he's getting it?
No, not as quickly as he's getting, but I knew in the long run he would, just because his style of wrestling is just, it's mean, it's nasty, it's basically built for that fight, that war of attrition that, international wrestling is going to call for. And he's definitely one that, like, he's persistent. I mean, if he gets you down, it's not somewhere you want to be with him. Like, we've seen him in collegiate wrestling, and just the way he rides people is just, it's nasty. Arm in the back of the head, hard cross faces, like, he's mean. And I mean, I just think that that's going to translate well over into that world of freestyle and Greco. Like, if you just imagine if he gets a leg lace on somebody and someone's trying to defend that, and he just start ripping it over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely, he surprised me with how quick he's getting the success. But overall, I'm not surprised that he is successful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that statement. I originally thought that I wanted to see him wrestle internationally for selfish reasons, just because I like watching him wrestle because of his style, of how he wrestles, and things that he does. I don't know if I just didn't think that he was going to have as quick the amount of success that he's having, just because of, I think, all the international talk around his weight was basically fixed around Dayton Fix, Thomas Gilman, Spencer Lee, like all those cats down there at 57 kg, I think he was kind of, not that he should ever be, but kind of like that, almost people were like an afterthought internationally or freestyle wise, he was, everybody freestyle wise was like, all right, Thomas Gilman's there. They're like, can Dayton Fix or Spencer Lee be the one to unseat him? And then people are just forgetting to mention that we got Nick Suriano, that we have Vito, in the weight. Mm-hmm. Like, it's been a while, but not that without just those top three names, but it's been a while that we have seen the depth that we have at 57 kg. Like, and that's been the weight where we send guys.
Yeah.
But it's the one that's always been that question mark of, do we bring back a medal? It's not quite like 74, 78 or 79 and 92. It's not like that run where we're like, okay, Jerm Burroughs' weight, David Taylor's weight, and Kyle Snyder's weight, or whoever.
Or Jaden Cox.
Or Jaden Cox. Like, well, just going by the last people that were there, we're like, we're guaranteed medals. Like, not guaranteed as nothing's guaranteed, but like, if you were taking a betting odd, those would be the weights that you would bet. Like, every year, if we send 6 weights, if you were to bet that we would medal in 3 of them, which 3 would you bet? Because to say we medal in all of them would be what we would want, but the actual betting line on that actually happening is not necessarily the case. I mean, international wrestling is what it is. The officials call things how they do, but there are certain weights where we're almost like, okay, these guys are going to bring us back some hardware. Other weights, it's, man, we got to get a good first round draw, and we've got to, not put ourselves in situations where a ref can screw a guy or something like that.
And I feel like with 50 kilos right now, we're in that position where it's kind of like, it's because of the depth. And like
we're getting to that point of like, pick a guy, send him, and we're going to come back with a medal.
Yeah, we'll be fine either way. It's like, if someone gets hurt, I mean, if someone happens to get an injury before like the trials and stuff, and it's not something that I'm worried about. Like, if, for instance, knock on wood, hope it doesn't happen, but say if someone like Dayton Fix or Spencer Lee or Thomas Gilman, say one of them suffered an injury, and we needed someone to take their spot, as far as like, I mean, now there's a lot more that goes into that, obviously.
Yeah, whoever was the next in line, who was the replacement,
I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not just like, oh, here, throw him here now. I mean, obviously you have,
I think a more realistic thing would be like, okay, so and so got hit with a close contact, or so and so got contact traced, or so and so actually got possibly COVID. Who is our next guy up? You know, who is our alternate at that weight? You know,
but that's the thing I hate about 57 kilos right now for us. It's not even a bad thing. It's just that we have so much depth that not everyone can go. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not.
Dude, I mean, that was our problem at 74 kg for so long. It was like, dude, we have 3 certifiable killers at Jordan Burroughs, Kyle Dake, and David Taylor. Pick any one of the 3, and they're all likely coming back home with the gold. Not just a medal, but probably a gold. And they were all bottlenecked at one weight. And they finally kind of spread some things out, which has been great for us. But you know, it's like finally we're able to see that at that 57 kg. I mean, for the longest time, we've always had like one guy who would dominate domestically, but then never quite be able to like make it through that tournament at 57 kg. I mean, I'm trying to remember who was there before Ramos, but it was Tony Ramos, and now it's Gilman. Dan Dennis was in there. You know, I mean, we've had a lot of really good wrestlers at 57. Domestically, you get them to the point where some of the other guys couldn't touch them, but then would have that bad first round or the luck of the draw and everything else that would happen. And we just wouldn't medal there. But I think, you know, it's exciting to see. I just thoroughly enjoyed. I was happy that my wish came true. I got to see some of these guys wrestle, and then I was just completely enamored by 57 kg and watching those guys wrestle. Got to see.
Do you think we have any weak spots right now, as far as like at what weight do you think we have a weak spot right now?
I mean, you talking about like Olympic weights or non-Olympic?
Yeah, Olympic.
Weights?
I'm talking Olympic weights right now. Yeah.
You know, 57 kg, I feel pretty confident with any of those guys. What's next? It's not 61 is the alternate. Is it 63 or 65? I think it's
let's see.
You can look it up real quick. You know, that's the one where looking to be possibly Yanni or J.O. Used to be James Green, but Yanni's been beating him lately.
Yeah.
So, you know, Yanni. Oh, and at that weight, what Yanni's weight is, I call it Yanni's weight, but Yanni, you got Rutherford and all those guys there. So, you know, 65 kg, I mean, I think we're pretty stacked there. 74, obviously, you'd say Jordan Burroughs until he does get dethroned by somebody. But even if he does get dethroned by somebody, whether it be Kyle Dake, Imar, or somebody else, I think we got guys ready to rock. David Taylor's weight, if it's DT himself, you know, I think we're ready to go win a gold.
Yeah.
Valencia, not Anthony, Zahid Valencia was wrestling. He looked good again. He got bronze at this tournament, you know. So I mean, I think between him, Derringer, and Miles Martin, and those guys, I think they're all around that weight. I think there's going to be a good push there. I think there's a little bit of separation between right now David Taylor and these next guys. I kind of think that Zahid is that next guy in line. Like for a while, I thought it was going to be Derringer or Miles Martin or somebody. But, I mean, I can't unsee what DT did to Miles Martin. And then watching the match between Zahid and Jordan Burroughs and seeing Zahid go and place third here, I'm like, I think Zahid's the next guy at that weight. Like, you know, we can't forget that DT and Dake, as great as they are right now, maybe they're not as old as Jordan Burroughs, but they had a good bit of their career blocked out from being at that weight and being behind them. So I don't think that maybe they'll have as full of a career because of that frame that is blocked out from when they were all trying to make 74. So as great as those guys are now, I'm already starting to think like who's going to follow after DT and who's going to follow after Dake. So
yeah, and so just so we can clarify, as far as the freestyle weights go, it goes 57 kg, 65 kg, 74 kg, 86 kg, 97 kg, and then 125 kg.
No.
So so those are those freestyle weights that we were talking about. do you see us having any weak spots there? Like if you
All right,
had
so
to
let's run through them real quick. Just pick a guy you think's going to make that weight and tell me if you think that's a weak spot. 57 kg. We already talked about a whole bunch. I think we got
Yeah.
a number of guys. Right now, it's Gilman's spot because I think he was the last person to be that person for us. You know, I think we got some hammers there, but still, I need to see more of them do like what Suriano did, go out and compete internationally and dominate to really convince me that that's not a possible place where we don't medal.
Yeah.
But I like that spot. Next up, you said 65. Man, I'm going to say it's Yanni's spot right now. I'm a big, huge JO fan, and I want it to be JO just because, again, same thing, like his career and where he's been behind people, the year suspension. I think when he's on, and
he's on
top, I think he's the best guy at that weight. But right now, I think Yanni's the guy to beat, you know, at 65, I think, or did, you know. So,
yeah. Now 74.
Huh?
And I said, now, and then you got 74. I mean,
74, I think, you know,
Burroughs and Dake. I mean,
Burroughs,
either way,
Dake, Imar on the wings, you know, like I think, hey, we're good there.
We're good to go there. 86.
DT.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we're good there.
You know, like I said, we're good there coming up. Is it 97, you said?
97 then 125.
I mean, 97, I think with Kyle Snyder or Jaden Cox, we come back with
either
those.
way, yeah. The big issue there is, and I wouldn't call this a weak spot, it's just it's something that's unfortunate, but that is where Sadulayev is. And
I think either one of those guys needs to be seeing Sadulayev in the finals.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
either way.
The way the brackets go, I hope it's not that weird top half of the bracket is heavy with all the talent and somebody else is, you know, I just don't want to see them on the same side as Sadulayev, and I want that to be the finals. And I want you to win, obviously, but
I mean, that would be, I'll be honest, I'd like to see Jaden Cox and Sadulayev. I mean,
because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. It'd be new. I feel like
how much do you want to see the redemption for Snyder, though, too?
I mean, I do want to see the redemption for Snyder, but at the end of the day, if I'm wanting a gold medal there, I feel like Jaden Cox's size would probably do more to neutralize how dominant Sadulayev is. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not saying Kyle Snyder's a small guy. He's a big, strong dude.
He's a completely different body style, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you have Jaden Cox, who's just a freak. I mean,
and then I don't think Sadulayev's wrestled anybody quite like Jaden Cox. So
no one's so sweaty.
Yeah. So other than like himself,
sweat may play a factor.
Other than himself in the mirror, like for freak athleticism, you know.
And then 125, you got Gwiz.
Well,
you got Gwiz. I mean, you got other people too, though.
I mean, but you gonna take Gwiz or are you gonna take our Minnesota guy?
Gable.
Stevenson. Stevenson's beaten Gwiz now. He has. And Gable does have international experience through juniors and everything else.
I'm just thinking of him as like I'm thinking of him as a WWE guy already. So I think part of me thinks that it's like he's got that 1 foot out the door. I mean, and he probably doesn't, but I don't know.
If he wants to have that career, this is what he's got to go do to have it, like to be that Olympic, you know.
I mean,
that's a pretty good incentive to set yourself up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, he could realistically take out Gwiz. Like you said, he's done it. He's beaten them before, so it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. But I don't know.
Here becomes the question. So we got 6 weights, right?
Yeah.
Odds of us placing at all 6, I want to say that might not be bad when we look at our lineups. Realistically, though, if there's 2 weights to not place or to not win gold, what 2 weights would you say those are?
125 and 65.
All right. I was going to say 125, and part of me still says 57 or 65.
Oh, no. With 57 right now, I just think you have some killers there. And I think –
I think we do too. That's kind of been our discussion today. It's like the discussion of the 57 killers. But, like, I got to see them – I want to see them wrestle more like we just did. which was
Oh
awesome.
no, I would love to see them wrestle more, but at the end, I mean, they've also wrestled each other too, so it's one of those things that like it's not like they're wrestling some nobodies. I mean, we've seen Gilman and Fick. We've seen Gilman.
Which means I also can't wait for
yeah.
trials and all this stuff to see that weight class. Like in the past, like when's the last time we talked about 57 being that deep? Like in the past, we've been talking about how good 65 trials is going to be. And
yeah, I can't remember the last time when 57 was so deep. Like,
I'm looking forward to that. So
yeah, and I would say outside of possibly, I would say 57 is probably our deepest as far as like just pure name value and talent. But I mean, you also look at like 74, like you said, you have Kyle Dake, Burrows, Imar. I mean, it's not like even though you have those names there, they're all world class. Same with 57. But and then you go up with David Taylor. You said like we've got Valencia in the waiting there. I mean, it's not like these names aren't. They're not. What am I trying to say? They're not slouch names. I mean, we have depth, like you said, almost at every single weight.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time for our guys, and I just hope that they, continue to have that depth, and then like, just like, man, I hope that everything goes well enough to be able to see it all go down. Like, just because we already had the postponement last year and everything else like that, like just this potential lineup, like I'm like, man, we've got to see these guys get this chance, like for them to get after it. So
yeah, no, totally. And I'm so ready for it. I would love to see at least 2 gold medals. I mean, that would be what I feel would be a good Olympic run. I feel like we can come away with more possibly. But I think the biggest ones would be 74 is definitely going to be, one where we probably get gold. I would say 86. 97 would be one that I genuinely think that
we're in the finals, but
we're in the finals.
Come away with 3 golds. I'm like, man, I think it's a good problem to have to say that, man, if we don't walk away with 3 golds, then we didn't meet our expectations. That's an amazing proposition. If we don't walk away with 3 golds and 6 possible medals, like to be able to say that about our team, I think is awesome without being an overinflated homer on expectations and picks. I think that's a great problem for us to have right now.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And man, it's just for me, like I said, 97, it's one of those things that we're in the finals. Anything can happen in the finals, just you could get a crazy judges scoring decision, although I don't think that would go in our favor. But you could just get, say if Jaden Cox is there, I can see him wrestling Sadulayev and Jaden sweats on the mat and Sadulayev slips, and then we get we can score from there. But I mean, it's amazing. You think like the same weights as usual. Like we said, they're definitely medal weights, but it seems like this year they're not only are they medal weights, but it seems like realistically they could be gold weights if maybe. And then, I mean, this is exciting. I know we've talked about this before. We talked about a few years ago at Worlds. We thought like realistically we could probably medal almost at every weight. I think there was only a few that we said we might not medal in, but yeah, we were wrong about that. So at the same time, I don't want to sit there and put all my eggs in one basket either.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right, man. Well, cool. Like I said, we got some stuff coming up this week. Look forward to having you back in the room and back at it. I got to send an email and stuff out. I believe tomorrow we head off to Burns to go wrestle. It was either that
what time
or
are we leaving?
About the same time we did last time, around 4 or so. So,
all right, I may, depending on because the way my classes are set up this semester, I'm out at 3:45. Yeah. So I may, depending on how late it runs, like if I can get done with the lab early, possibly, I may just I may have to drive to meet y'all there. I mean, it's not a far drive for me. So
Yeah, no, I understand though. But it was kind of either that, trying to reschedule right now, so iffy.
oh God, it's a headache to try to
You know,
reschedule right now
so I was
because then you have
right now, plus we got all our transportation set up. So I think we're set to go for tomorrow, and then we'll just go at it from there. I'm gonna send that email out here shortly to everybody, and we'll rock it out, and then we'll finish off practice for this week and go to our county tournament this weekend.
is county this weekend?
Yep, middle school county is this weekend. High school county was this last weekend, so that's what we're finishing off with.
Dang. I
Yeah,
thought it was next weekend. I thought it was like the 25th or something.
I think it's this weekend. So
Yeah.
I'll go
No, man, it's crazy. Like you said, it's been a fast year, but it's also been a long year. But
Yep.
it's weird. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, so middle school county, how are we gonna? It's individual, I'm assuming.
Yeah, individual, one per weight class. So
One per weight.
Mhm.
Single
So,
elimination or is it
double,
single
as
or
far as I
double?
know still. So
Okay.
unless something else.
Yeah, I was just curious how that tournament was gonna go with all the if they
Protocols.
changed up the format. Yeah, the protocols and stuff, how they changed it up.
So like I said, they were able to do high school county this last weekend. So, we will check it all out and see what we got going on.
Yeah, man, it's bittersweet. I will say that. It's definitely it's good that now like everything's kind of over as far as like the headaches and like the red tape that we had to jump through in the hoops and all that. But at the end of the day, it's like it's never fun seeing wrestling season end for us.
Yeah. So it's kind of
It's always
bittersweet.
yeah, I mean, but we got next year, so
Yeah, there we go. And hopefully we get to watch all this stuff that we just talked about today. So
oh God, yes, please. All right. See you.
all right, man, take it easy.
Bye bye.